These shells make your shotgun breath fire like a dragon. This effect is caused by a magnesium mix inside the dragon's breath shells. When fired, the magnesium particles ignite, creating a firework-like burst of flames that shoot out of the barrel and look especially impressive in the dark.
Alright, let's talk about guns that should be in Resident Evil games, especially in the future for these new up-and-coming Resident Evil games that are coming out. Talking about maybe more specifically like Resident Evil X, aka Resident Evil 10. So yeah, I want to talk about guns that should be in there. So as what you just saw right there, those are Dragon Breath rounds for a shotgun. And I think this will be something that will be so good and so cool to just like implement into the game, where like you could just put on those Dragon Breath rounds and then shoot shotgun with fire effect on it. I mean, that would be so cool. Wouldn't y'all agree? I mean, let's look at this. Like, this just looks so cool, man.
Ready?
Check this out. And yeah, like even in the movie John Wick 4, he even used one of the Dragon Breath rounds on one of the shotgun that he was using, which is one of the coolest and badass scene. And on top of that, for the Resident Evil games with Leon, how the way his combat style works, let's be honest, you would at least love to see him use dragon rounds. Like Leon with a shotgun using dragon rounds, man, I think that would be so badass. I think that can also be implemented to the mods, but since it's never been officially into the game, I just thought that it would be so cool if it could be actually like for once be part of like in the game without like mods. So when it comes to like Resident Evil 10, if Leon is in there, I think it would be so cool to have Dragon Breath rounds for shotgun rounds. I like it like how they do have like normal gun rounds and stuff, or like just regular guns too, because that does make tension and horror much more like putting you on edge and stuff. But yeah, I just want to talk about this because, you know, in this video I want to talk about like guns that should be in Resident Evil. Next, I think like the not just guns too, but more specifically ammo type. Yeah, I just think it would be so cool. Let me show you guys some more. I mean, just look at that. That shit just spark with fire, and that's real, by the way. This isn't like just a gimmick for fun. Like no, like when you actually shoot it, it's actually like that. Check this one out too. Yeah, that's pretty good. Damn, look at that. Look at that range with that shotgun with the Dragon Breath rounds. That's pretty insane. Here's another one. Jeez. It's crazy, man. Another type of ammo that they should have for a gun is the snake round shots. So I'm going to show you guys. So the snake round shots is pretty much basically like a like I guess you could say it's like you use a magnum and it shoots. You're using like a magnum or a revolver and you shoot out like the snake shot rounds, it shoots and spreads like a shotgun. If you play Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the one that came out 2019, you could use those type of ammo on your revolver, which is pretty cool. So I'll show you guys, and you can also have it in Dragon Breath rounds too for your magnum revolver. So that would be something so cool to be in Resident Evil. I mean, I would just like to like pop a few like zombie heads with that, if there's even zombies on Resident Evil 10, but who knows. So it'll look something like this. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. But this is, when it sparks with fire like that, it's usually considered Dragon Breath. But yeah, also like, yeah, see, that's pretty badass, man. That's a big old spread. And these aren't just for like fancy show or something. It actually does do damage. But like without the sparking fires, and I think they just call it snake shot. I think, I don't know, or it could be a completely different type of ammo.
Cool. Hit it.
Yeah, but this is the type of ammo that needs to be for the guns in Resident Evil, man. I hope that they do have it because I think it would just be so cool. So let's check this out. This one out. This is what I'm talking about for like the snake shot rounds or shotgun shell rounds for a magnum. Like the spread is pretty crazy. I just think this would be something so cool to be in Resident Evil games. So hopefully they do implement this in the next Resident Evil games. So if you actually look at that, you see the spread on the, well, I don't know what you call this, the aim. What do you call this again? I can't think right now. But on the dummy, whatever, on the aim that you shoot, like Like the spread on that is pretty crazy. Just look that again. That's so much bullets. But of course, it does more damage on close range only. But
Pretty good
I
pattern. Let's go
still,
down and take a look at it.
I still wouldn't mind it. I just think these are so cool to be implemented into like Resident Evil games. Another type of ammo that should be in Resident Evil games just to make the gameplay funner is tracer rounds. I'm pretty sure some of you might have seen it if you play Call of Duty, or if you're like so into guns already and you're experienced with it, you might already know about this. But I just think this would be something so cool to be in a Resident Evil game. Like it would just hit so well. So let's check out the tracer rounds.
SSG-1 DSG with tracers.
That's pretty cool, right? That's like lasers, but I think it's actually just ammo, like normal ammo. But I just think it would be so cool for them to have that in the game. So here's more of it, I believe.
Rifle.
Yup, that looks pretty cool. It looks like it's shooting lasers, something like from Star Wars. But yeah, this is another thing that I would like for like Resident Evil games to have too is kind of like something similar to a plasma cutter like this. I just think it would be so cool to have like a gun similar to a plasma cutter from like Dead Space, but I know it's not Dead Space. At Resident Evil, it's its own thing, but still, you know, with the way how the game evolved and with the technology that is evolving within the game of Resident Evil, I think it would only make sense to have like a special gun like this be implemented for one of the characters. So like having something similar like a plasma cutter, I think it would be so cool. Like maybe some kind of like a laser gun or something like that. Like usually Resident Evil, like they do have like special weapons like that, but I don't know, like they just don't have that kind of stuff. They don't really do stuff like that anymore. Like if you're talking about like a laser gun, like the closest one is like Resident Evil, the original one. I forgot what's it called. But it's this one right here, the PRL. Like this is probably the closest thing we ever got to any like futuristic gun in the Resident Evil games.
Essentially the handheld version of the machine Leon and Ashley use at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So this is the closest thing we'll have. I just think that they should bring something back to the games. I think that'll just be like a cool, fun thing to have. Now, I'm not saying they should be like, you should have that right at the start of the game. Another type of gun or ammo that they should have is like ice gun. Because, you know, Resident Evil have touched on like elemental weapons like that, like flamethrowers and acid rounds, or also known as corrosive rounds. So why not implement that into their games? I just think that having something like that will be so cool. So like, I want to show you guys like this right here. Like just look at this. This is not an ice gun, but it's like, I think it would be cool to have like an ice elemental blast from your gun like this. So that's like, he's just shooting ice like CO2, which is like a Cairo gun kind of, I guess. But still, man, I just think it would be so cool to have some kind of ice gun where you can like freeze and just break off the zombies or your enemies within the game. I think that would be so cool, man. Yeah, that's just so badass, man. I would love it if they have like something like that for the new like Resident Evil games. Or like, I guess for a good example, it's like, you know, like Fallout, where they have like these ice guns, how they could freeze like that. I think that's just so cool. You can either shoot it into like the little snowballs or like a full-blown like steamy ice. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I just wanted to share you guys with this. I feel like I'm repeating myself. Another thing too is like, I would like them to have like some kind of like electricity gun. I mean, like just look at this. For Jill in Resident Evil 3 Remake, she's like using the, I forgot what this gun is called, but she used this gun at the end to kill Nemesis. So I'm like, dude, like, see, like this is what I'm talking about in the game. Like this, during this game in Resident Evil 3, when Jill was using this lightning gun, whatever here, like this takes place back in the late 90s. So with the way how the technology is advancing in Resident Evil, I just think it would be so cool, and it would only make sense if Leon and Chris was to use guns like this to kill, you know, like much more threatening monsters. But it seems like they don't really give you guns like these. Like, I guess in Resident Evil 9 Requiem, like the closest thing you'll get is like the Requiem revolver gun, but that's just more like a modified Magnum. So I don't even know if I could consider that a special weapon, or even if it is a special weapon, it's a special weapon for Leon. And another thing that is like I want to talk about is like it's so disappointing too about the game is that like Leon has his own special set of weapon and he has like a specially made gun called the Requiem for him, but Grace doesn't have that. I wish the game would have allowed you to be like, okay, you beat the game and you could purchase a like specially gun made for Grace, like that's just like top tier, like you just like for her, but they sadly they don't. All she has is just handgun and a freaking SMG, and I guess you could consider her SMG her special weapon. But if you really think about it, the SMG that she used, I forgot what's it called. I think it's called like a needle or something. I don't know. But let's hold on, let's look it up. So yeah, this is like the only special gun that Grace have. It's called the Freya's Needle, which let's be honest, it's not really special. The gun is really just a freaking SMG. So it's not really special. Like if you're talking about like a special gun or special weapon wise, Leon is the one who has a special gun, which is called the Requiem, which is like a modified Magnum or modified revolver, which is pretty cool. It's like the second strongest gun, I believe, next to the rocket launcher, which is you know, rocket launcher is always going to be like the top strongest with one hit kill type of thing. But yeah, I just think that they should have given her a much better gun too for like this game. But sadly, she was like really limited to pretty much guns. Like she doesn't even have a shotgun, so that just kind of sucks. Yeah, but I think with the way how, like I said, with the way how technology is evolving within the game of Resident Evil, I think it would only make sense if like Leon and Chris and them was to carry some sort of like special gun with like maybe an electricity element or some kind of like ice in it. I just think that would be so good and so fun to like have in the game. But sadly, just they don't have that. Another thing I would like them to have in the game is something like a laser gun, or not a laser gun, but like a contact beam gun like this. I just think like having something like this is so cool. And I know this isn't Dead Space, but still, you know, with the way, like I said, with the way how the game is evolving with their technology for Resident Evil, like the technology that's evolving within that world, I feel like it would only make sense if they do ever make a gun like this for Chris and Leon to carry to go shoot out, you know, bioweapons that are out there. That's like a threat, you know what I mean? Especially with the way how you see how like some of the monsters, how they regenerate and the Resident Evil games. Like why would you not make this kind of gun in that world to kill out these, you know, bioweapons that are like a big threat? So like it's just like I said, like if you look at Jill killing Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 remake, which takes place back in the late 90s, if they already have that kind of technology, why not just implement that into like a machine gun or something, an AR or a pistol? I just think like it would be so cool. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys because I just think like sometimes like they sort of kind of like sometimes they are creative with weapons, but it's just like all it does is just like a better version of a shotgun. So you have like 3 different types of shotgun, but then they're all, one of them is just stronger and shoot faster. That's it. But I would like them to do more with it, where you could like shoot it out with some kind of elemental to it, like maybe like dragon breath rounds or corrosive rounds. And yeah, I know they have done like acid rounds and stuff, all that stuff with like, you know, the older Resident Evil games, but still, you know, like why not have it in the future games with the way how, you know, the technology is evolving within the world of Resident Evil, you know what I mean? It would only make sense. So I just think that would be so freaking cool to have in the game. Like, why not? You know what I mean? So anyways, if you're watching this, you know, let me know, what do you guys think? Do you guys think they should add like guns like these with like these type of ammo, like shooting out fire rounds, dragon breath rounds? Because I think that would be so cool, and it would definitely like make the game feel a little bit different and better, because you know what, they've never really done stuff like that. So it would be cool to implement this system that I'm talking about into like newer Resident Evil games, because I think it will definitely sort of bring it to a new heights, like shooting ice rounds or electricity rounds and stuff, just to do more damage, or for something that's maybe really good against certain type of enemies. You know, I just think stuff like that would be so fun. But let me know what you guys think. You know, should they add like ammo like this to, you know, their next and upcoming Resident Evil games and all that stuff? So yeah, if you made it this far, man, I just want to say, you know, thanks for watching, and hopefully you guys like, share, and subscribe.